We all have that one thing we think is ruining our lives. For the longest time when I was 16, I always thought it was my nose. I hit puberty really late as a kid and I felt that I was uglier than other students, so I latched onto my facial features. And so many of us have this one thing that we hold above our happiness. We think maybe if we get that car, that job, if we become beautiful, if you get that six-pack abs, then finally you're going to be happy. That's a really fucking oversimplified way of overcoming self-hatred. And at the time, I don't even think that I realized I hated myself. I just felt this kind of gray feeling of discontent, this anger and hatred towards something that was wrong with me. And so, of course, I wanted a simple solution that if I could just change my face, if I could just save money and become more beautiful, then of course that would solve my problems. And so many of us want to believe that because it's a very simple story. And this story gets sold to us all the time. We're constantly searching for the next goal. And the self-improvement industry really wants you to latch on to this one idea of perfection. So if I'm selling a book, maybe it's why your swag is the reason that you don't feel good, why being ugly is ruining your life, or why you're not beautiful enough, or all these hundreds of reasons that you can't feel happy. But the reality is there's tons of people out in the world who are way uglier than you, way broker. And I'm not saying that these things are bad, but just what we hold as value to ourselves, someone else has a completely different set of values, and they might feel happier than you. There's people who are suffering, who are on their deathbeds, that have a sense of content and love in their life. So why do we hate ourselves? Where is this really coming from? And for me, it came from, growing up without, a parental figure, one of my major parental figures. And for me, I always felt like I was trying to fill this hole inside of me that would teach me how to love myself. And so as a result, I was searching externally for validation from other people. And many of us have done that. We've all felt this sense of insecurity that you know your flaws, like you know your flaws better than anyone else. And that makes them all the more present when you go into these interactions with people. Maybe it's in college, it's in class, it's on a date, and you just have it in the back of your mind, just gnawing at your fucking brain. And so when we have this insecurity, it's only logical to think that if we could just solve these few problems that we see and visually recognize, then we would be happy. But self-hatred is so much more complicated than that. It's permeated throughout your childhood. So maybe you grew up without a parent. Maybe you had a traumatic experience in schooling. Maybe you were bullied as a kid. Those ways of thinking are what actually taught you to hate yourself. And we don't even realize the ways that we hate ourselves. It can be just a very quiet voice in the back of your head, or even little behaviors, or just feelings that don't even have words. Like, if I go to the gym and let's say I couldn't lift some weight, then I feel this kind of like burning feeling inside my stomach. If I get beat up in MMA practice, then I feel this kind of flush in my face, this sense of shame. And you have to slow down for a minute and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And the first step comes with just recognizing where you feel these mushy, gushy, bright, disgusting, poisonous emotions. And this is really hard to do because after I got that plastic surgery and after you improve yourself or you hit that goal, you feel a sense of satisfaction. It's an adrenaline rush. It's a high that you can ride for months. And honestly, you can live in between these highs. Like maybe the goalpost shifts. For me, it was the next plastic surgery, or it was this next superficial achievement that I had to work towards. And in doing so, I kept feeling this intermittent happiness at each landmark, but these in-between stages felt so desperate and empty. And that's where we have to circle back to ourselves. Why do I feel this desperation? You feel this desperation because you've never taught yourself what self-love is. And this is going to look different for everyone, but a fundamental principle of self-love is literally telling yourself that I am enough. I mean, I say it on a day-to-day basis. When I fuck up, I say, Gavin, it's okay. I love you. When I look in the mirror and I feel insecure about how I look, I say, Gavin, you are enough. You are beautiful. And oftentimes it's not going to feel believable when you speak to yourself that way. Maybe you feel like you need to be motivated and you should be hard on yourself and you got to kind of just kick the shit out of yourself all the time. And it's great that you have that drive, but if the drive is all you have, then you will be constantly searching your whole life for this feeling of happiness that doesn't exist. And that's the funny part, is that happiness is just a feeling, but we have all these physical attributes, all these physical achievements that are supposed to give us these keys to satisfaction in life. And the reality is humans really haven't evolved for, I don't know, like fucking 20,000 years or thousands and thousands of years. There's just nothing that has changed about us. So why would someone 1,000 years ago be happier than you are now if their ideas of achievement and the things that they interacted with on a daily basis are completely different? It's because it's all inside your head. You know, I don't like to get overly philosophical or existential, but really the world is all that is inside your head. Everything that you interpret comes from inside your head. Everything you interact with is perceived by your brain. And your sense of self, even more so, is inside of you. We need to stop treating ourselves like we need to be optimized, because this optimization is an external factor when happiness must come internally. And that's not to say that you need to cut out achievement in your life. You need to go and get it. Like I'm for carrying the boats. I'm for getting the fuck up and fighting for your dreams. But your dreams are yours and yours only. And yourself is only you. So begin to recognize these moments of hatred, these feelings, these pangs of hunger that permeate throughout your body, and start to think back to your childhood, to your experiences in school, to your lifestyle, to the way that you live on a daily basis, and connect the dots. Start to think about how this represents how you treat yourself. You know, I've seen some of my friends, and when they've gotten really depressed, and me likewise, I stopped taking a shower. When I was in high school, I smelled bad for like a month because I was depressed. And just not taking a shower says to yourself on a daily basis, I don't love myself. Being clean is not important to me because I'm not worth being washed. And yeah, it's a little gross, but it's true. So building back up these little activities of self-love are what will kind of just trick you into beginning to appreciate yourself more. That could look like journaling. That could look like showering. That could look like a little bit of a routine. And no one has this set answer, but it all must come from inside. So stop buying the books, stop buying podcasts, stop listening to other people telling you what will make you happy, and start listening to the pangs of self-hatred that come from within, because you have the seeds to plant the flowers of happiness. And it all starts with you.